Kevin Whitesides, go for it. The greatest historian of the 2012 meme, and you have friends also working on the Thrive movie and the culture of all those things. Wherever you want to dive in, Dr. Whitesides.
Master Whitesides. I only have a master.
Maestro Whitesides.
Well, where to begin? One of the places I start a lot of times in my presentations is at the present because it's so confusing. So I've been tracking sort of book publishing,
yes.
And there's about 3,000 books that have been published by this point that discuss 2012. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
There's Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim versions of 2012 in those books. There's 2012 cookbooks. There's a book called.
What's the 2012 cookbook?
I've not actually bought it.
But it will be cheaper tomorrow.
But it will be much cheaper tomorrow.
That's right. Yes.
There's a book called How to Profit Off of 2012. Another one.
P-R-O-P-H-E-T?
P-R-O-F-I-T.
Okay, and then there's also How to Profit, P-R-O-P-H-E-T.
There's How to Profit, F-I-T, from the Profits, P-H-E-T.
Okay, and we're a non-profit organization.
So when you look at this sort of vast plethora of thousands of books and millions of websites and dozens and dozens of magazine articles, and it's just everywhere, it's really sort of difficult to figure out how we got here because it's so confusing and crazy.
But we do know that there is an appropriate hunger for a guiding meta story.
Right.
When I was telling the Anonymith, the model is that when the tyrant god steals human culture, he leaves empty celebrity baubles in its place.
Right.
For want of a mythology, we have celebrities.
No, exactly.
Okay. So people do want, and the winter solstice is when, sun come in and illumine this guiding story, right? So we do want a guiding story, but you're an anthropology devotee of this particular meme. Yes?
Yes, I do religious studies, which is a bit different than anthropology, but
what's the difference?
Well, I guess anthropology is focused on culture much more broadly, whereas religious studies focuses in on that particular aspect of culture. So we, in some sense, we're more narrow-sighted, but we also can specialize more highly.
Okay, I got to bring in the Haitian motto: "When the anthropologist arrives, the gods depart." So that's an important theme. I mean, we're here with our many esteemed scholars, and yet there can be a separation. I'm observing, and I am intellect, and we go, fair enough. But you're a crosser of a blurrer of boundaries. Yes.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
the gods stay around when you arrive, right?
Yeah. People seem to like me. I mean,
the gods like you.
Yeah,
I
mean, I got into this stuff originally back in like '98 through Terence McKenna, and I seemed reasonable enough at the time.
Talk.
I mean, the way McKenna actually describes things and the advance of technology and how that changes society actually makes a lot of sense. I think the problem was the focus on the specific date. So in McKenna's world, by now we'd have starships the size of Texas and things like that.
Well, I mean, Terence, I was a medium colleague-ish of Terence McKenna's, and since this is a time of inviting in the ancestors, come in, Terence.
Right.
Terence McKenna would really be very happy to be here.
And we would love for Terence to still be around.
We do, but again, for all of us, it's like about everything. Is this the thing or the symbol of the thing, or both?
Right.
So 2012 meme, is a gathering of appropriate. May we have a guiding meta story about sane, reverent common sense and humans behaving better. And Terence's kind of brilliant mind, but where he got too certain or too, whatever.
Right.
Now he's been, he's more flexible since he's dead.
Well, one of his phrases is he said, we can use the calendar as a club to sort of focus our energies. I'm not quite clear that it's worked out as well as
a club.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, yes. Not a great metaphor, really.
I think the idea was just bringing us together in a focus on a specific date that we want to accomplish things by.
Oops, too late.
Yeah. Right. No. But I think the way that he sort of came up with this date is really telling about the phenomena in general. So most people already know he went down to the Amazon and was doing mushrooms with his brother, and he was
Dennis.
Dennis, yes. And Dennis has a nice book that just came out about his life with McKenna, or growing up with Terrence. And so he heard a mushroom voice in his head, or a voice in his head that he identified with the mushroom, and it led him to an analysis of the I Ching, this Chinese book of divination, and out of that he'd got a sort of squiggly line graph, and the mushroom told him this is a map of time, and it has a specific endpoint. And so what he had to do is figure out, okay, how does this map over time? Because the endpoint could be millions of years in the future, it could be tomorrow. So initially he actually thought, since he's really important to the uncovering of this, it must be on his next birthday, November 16th, 1971. That came and went. And so then they connected it to other dates. The coming of Comet Kohoutek, they thought that was a real big thing, it came and went. And then what they decided, a different strategy was, there's this final 67-year period before the end. It starts with a really novel moment. And so instead of trying to figure out this, when is it going to end, where did this novel and so he picked the bombing of Hiroshima in 1945 as this sort of world-changing moment.
Hey, they're applauding the bombing of Hiroshima. Okay, never mind. No, it's just random. It's just random. Okay.
So when you add 67 plus some amount of days, years to 1945, you end up in 2012 just by the sheer math. That actually ended up in November 2012. A few years later, he heard about the Mayan calendar in December 2012, and he thought, wow, that's really fascinating that I was taking mushrooms, the Maya were taking mushrooms, it must be this consistent eschatological message from the mushrooms.
And Joseph Smith founded the Mormon religion for all the mushrooms. Yeah.
But so he just switched the date to December because he thought that coincided better.
Right. But I think, and I think, conjuring Terrence, we all have, we do not want to fetishize a date.
Right.
This is a moment of dedication. I think it used to drive many of us crazy when people would go to 2012 things and go, will it all be changed? No, it's our responsibility to dedicate to cooperating, as part of the dynamic. I love the Aramaic, the vernacular that Jesus would have spoken, and Neil Douglas Klotz says when Jesus' disciples came to him and said, how will it end? He goes, you guys, are you so busy with ongoing creation you can waste your time about end times? So I want to throw end times and apocalypse meme into the cauldron, because this is the mega end times apocalypse thing, and we've gotten all the good out of it, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I certainly think there's positive things that have come from it. I mean, I think a lot of these people are going to take away amazing experiences from this that are going to transform their lives, hopefully in positive ways, but who knows, they may just end up back at home and back into their habits.
Let's say a deeper dedication, as Brother Leonard Cohen says, from deeper places in the heart, we rise to play a greater part. Yeah?
Sure.
Oh, good. Splendid. All right. We'll be done. Thank you. Thank
Indeed.
you, Kevin
Thank
Whiteside.
you.
And how can people find your work?
The best way is to search Kevin Whiteside's. There's a webpage at academia.edu that has some of my papers on this stuff.
Good, so that's your cover.
Yeah.
You're an undercover mystic disguised as an academic anthropologist.
Exactly.
Thank you for your excellent work. Yes.
My pleasure.
Excellent.